as it relates to the temperaments and the thought track of Roger Goodell. I mentioned it last night on the live stream, is that finally he gets the bigger picture. He sees bigger pictures that's going on with the unifications of the NFL. Nevertheless, it seems like everything is going right. He actually reinstated Alden, right, Smith. He's also, I guess you got to look at it from these angles, will reinstate Randy Gregory. Now, for 13 years, just let this sink in, for 13 years, we've been talking about Jason Garrett. I can say maybe 4 or 5 of the years, coaching, learning to know how to call the game, right? We know that. And I'm talking about the first 3 years, he was the offensive coordinator. Nevertheless, when you look at the bigger picture, we finally got rid of him, right? We finally moved on from him. And we got all of this thing going on, but the pandemic is still here, right? The thought track of not being able to go to the game is still out there in the air. And we got the training camp right down the street at the Star in Frisco. It would not take that long for me to get in the car, drive up to the location to get there. Nevertheless, they don't know whether or not they're going to bring in fans. And all it takes is 1 or 2 players to get that COVID, and then they might shut that down. So the uncertainty part of it came at the wrong time, because now Roger Goodell is pretty much allowing the owners to do their thing and not got his toe all into the water. That's the craziest thing of it all. Now, this particular team, we do know that the coaching staff, they met up, they down there at the Star, they drawn up a plan. Remember, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. They're preparing themselves like the season will start tomorrow. They are. Some of the rookies are already in town. They trying to pick up this playbook. They're trying to figure out where to stay and things like that. So this year, it needs to happen. We just got to figure out with this COVID situation, will it go away? That's the hardest thing to think about. And that's the hardest thing to try to relate. Now, on top of that, we do have more money. We have more money because Travis Frederick, once he retired, he left us $7 million. Where that money can go, who knows? Who knows? What's the thought track and the plan of operation? Who knows? My dog, Patrick Walker, with no C, don't put no C in his name, Patrick Walker came out with, hey, 3 things that could happen that can change the impact of the game. Number 1, and I know a lot of people cannot stand good old Rain Dakota Prescott, but I got to bring it out there. Sign the extension for Dak Prescott. Extend him, put the new offer on the table, put the new deal out there, and that could put actually more money into the pool there. And on top of that, I think that Jerry Jones' camp may fold. Oh, Lord, what are you talking about? Well, when you think about it, didn't he fold with D-Law? Oh, didn't he fold with Ezekiel Elliott? So, history shows, and dare I say a Desmond Bryant, if you want to go all the way back. So he will fold, or they will come to some type of an agreement, basically. If we can say it in those terms, they will come up with some type of an agreement. Nevertheless, when we think about this Dak Prescott situation, we can say to ourselves, just sign it, man. Let's stop trying to find, that other guy when you already got a guy that won you 40 games and lost 24 since 2016. And you only have, one quarterback with more wins than him, and his name is Tommy Brady. Now he's playing for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I digress. I know a lot of people would say, anybody could have done that. Well, if you want to go down that road of going with the Brandon Whedons, the Matt Castles, if you want to go down that pathway and say, well, we can bring in Kellen Moore, the left-handed wonder, again, we can find that guy. Trust me, it's easier said than done, right? Let's just go ahead and pay the man. Now, talking about this situation, the other part of Patrick Walker with no C, he was saying that, hey, if the price is right, not the show, but if the price is right, they should make that move at Jamal Adams. I know. Everybody, mama, uncle, cousin, Tupac, and Biggie, everybody getting tired of us talking about the not the Patrick situation, but the Jamal Adams situation. Everybody getting tired of us talking about, hey, Jamal Adams this, Jamal Adams that, this the Earl Thomas 2.0. But what he did was said that, hey, if the price is right, and on top of that, if you got $7 million in the pool, on top of that, if you get rid of Tyrone Crawford, and I know that a lot of people have a lot of hopes on him, but when you had 2 surgeries on the hip, not 1, but 2, I don't think that you'll be ready to play up to level at high peak levels, especially when you're long in the tooth at that. So that's $8 million. So you guys can do the math. I think that we got anywhere about $13 to $12 million still on the cap. You add the 7, you add the 8, or what have you. That's enough money, plenty of money. And then on top of that, when you signed Dak Prescott, you should have even more money left behind. But that's story of a different day, right? But he's saying if the price is right. Now, I'm with the belief is what my guy Darren Woodson said. The reason why Cowboys been in that bad spot or that bad place as relates to safety role is because they didn't invest in that spot. Because they did not invest in that spot, meaning that you got to use at least a first or a second in a safety spot if you really want to get some good returns. Look, we can't just walk around and say, man, I want to be able to have a 6-pack or I want to have muscles ripping off all over my body, but you on the couch all day. You know, you got to do things. You got to do some crazy things to get those type of results. It just don't fall out of the sky. You got to do some crazy things for crazy results, and you got to be able to make those necessary investments. I cannot make a pecan pie out of apples. You got to go buy pecans. That's just the reality of it. Nevertheless, the third category of Patrick Walker's excerpt, just go to my Instagram page or go to Patrick Walker Twitter page and you'll see what I'm talking about. He said we should go out there and sign an Everson Griffin. My thing is, I just talked to you guys about Tyrone Crawford. I just talked to you guys about trying to understand that you just can't get good players to fall in your lap. It goes through a natural process. It goes through a natural order of things. You got to go out there and make the necessary investment. I do know that he is long in the tooth. I do know without a shadow of a doubt. Nevertheless, when you think about it, Cowboy Nation, he already knows the defense that we're going to implement and we're going to run. He knows it. He knows how this flow is going to go. On top of that, I think for the last 4 years or what have you, he played under Coach Edwards' system. And Coach Edwards, although he's positioned to be a linebackers coach here, he was the defensive coordinator for the Vikings. So think about this. Let this sink into your mental. We got a guy that was a defensive coordinator for the Vikings to be one of our position group type of coach. Don't you know that that's good information for us? That's good intel. That's knowledge to coming in right into the room. And all he's going to do is implement that and help out this young defensive front. And also you bring in that veteran to help soothe and ease the information. I have a true belief that this right here, when you think about it, Randy Gregory, whenever he do get reinstated, it's going to be nasty. Oh, Lord, who's the other guy? Alden Smith. Although he didn't play in 5 years, he's going to be nasty. That front four is going to be nasty. And I know everybody got their reservations on D-Law, but do not let that sink too much into your mind, because I'm going to tell you right now, the guy last year did not lift nobody weight, didn't do nothing during the training camp. He was recovering. And all I can say is with this Cowboy Nation, just give it time. Because although you say, well, he only had 5 sacks, I know a lot of people beating on the drum about Jadeveon Clowney. He didn't go through no shoulder issue, and he only had 3. On top of that, although I think Jadeveon Clowney will be nice in this system, but just look at the comparisons there. And when you think about D-Law, he wasn't no suspect against the run. So he did his job. And I just look at the stupidity of the Dallas Cowboys defense last year when you know that they got, what, 2 to 3 guys on his side. You don't send an extra blitzer on that side. You do not capitalize off the fact that they're trying to double team D-Law. I digress. The craziest thing of it all, newsflash, Cowboy Nation, when we did blitz, we were able to get home. We one of the best blitzing team in the last 5 years. We didn't blitz. That's the craziest thing of it all. So I'm looking at everything on this team on how we can become better as relates to the collective look and the collective overview. Roger Goodell not having his toe in the water. You can put that in there. I think that Patrick Walker, his excerpt on Twitter, and also you can check it out on my Instagram, was a great piece because he was saying that if these moves can happen, it could be just that simple. If these moves can happen, we can go right on into the playoff, be a playoff contender type of team. Not saying that we aren't right now, but I think we are. Cowboy Nation, I really appreciate everybody, man. Post me your thoughts. Post me how you guys feel about, this team heading into 2020. Roger Goodell finally being relaxed about the situation. Are we going to have a season? Do you feel that, they still will have the games, but not the fans? I can tell you this one thing, that as soon as we have a game down here in Arlington, and it's about 110,000 people on the outskirts or not being able to get inside that stadium, and the score is 13-12 or 12-14, whatever the score is, and we can be the difference maker, you better plan a riot, because we're going to rush up in that thing and say, how about them Cowboys? You know how they go, Cowboy Nation. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go. Go Cowboys. Let's go.